Welcome back to the Bullet Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show. We're live here every Wednesday night at Bullet Grill House, sitting out here at the patio and had to slip the hoodie on. Kind of cooled off.
Yeah. But they have lit one heater over here, and
way over there.
It's going to warm up really fast. So.
Chris spinning around, he's like looking at this next one. He's like, dude.
I could smell something. I'm like, something. That's the first time it's been lit, so it's building all the, spider webs and.
You're burning everything off.
Yeah.
And I was thinking you was looking at the one right behind you, and he's like, shoot, it's going to burn my hair off.
I don't have any hair left, so.
Well, you're not going to after Saturday night when Michigan State beats Michigan. You'll be able to hear more about that on Saturday morning at the College Game Day Show.
Most definitely, you're going to hear all about that Big Green coming and getting Michigan.
Oh, there's no going to be Big Green.
You know, Chris, we talked about, and Brian, we talked about these games and a lot of games getting moved to
Thursday night.
Thursday night, and I'm trying to pull that email up as
There's about 8 games or 9 games, I believe, that got moved to Thursday night, and it's like you say. There's a lot of them are their grass fields, and they're worried about their field, I'm sure, and they're worried about probably a lot of them. I would think are probably worried about their next week whenever they've got a Week 10 game.
You got Waukegan, West Sabine, Garrison, St. Augustine, Timpson, Shelbyville. Those games got moved to Thursday night. Also have Groveton and Corrigan. Battle of 287 got moved. Just got a text message. Cleveland's game got moved to Thursday night. Literally just came in.
Okay.
From a good old friend of mine. Kirbyville at Orangefield. Thursday, 7:30 kick. East Chambers, Hardin, 7:30 kick. Buna, Tarkington, 7:30 kick, all Thursday night. Deweyville, Sabine Pass moved to Thursday at 7. Cold Spring and Shepherd battle at St. Jacinta at 7 p.m. Diboll, Huntington, 7 p.m. kickoff there for those guys as well. So a lot of games get moved.
The big thing that tells me is that's bonus football. Not only can you go on Thursday night and catch a good game, you can go across town somewhere and go catch a Friday night game somewhere.
And good to be a little proactive to move it to Thursday night instead of waiting till Friday, canceling the game, and then getting stuck moving it to like a Saturday night. Which
I agree with you, Chris. It is good being a little bit proactive, letting people kind of and the biggest thing is give you an opportunity to go to a game Thursday and Friday if you're not at Bullet Grill House watching the Astros on Friday night. So I can promise you, I just got word I'll be in Splendora Friday night doing the Livingston Lion game.
Yeah.
And we will be staying very abreast on the Astros game.
I'm not going to confirm this, but I've heard that the game's going to be playing live and about 2 feet from my face.
So even better. Let's talk about.
We'll definitely keep you abreast of the score, and we'll also let you know how the Livingston Lions are doing and how much they are in the lead because they're going to win this week.
So if you stay at home to watch the Astros, you'll be able to listen to the Livingston Lions on 102.3.
Absolutely. And should be a fantastic game. I'm really looking forward to it. It's one of those games to where you feel like it's a get-right game, and you want to go in and establish some dominance really early on, and just make sure that you've got this game because this is it for Livingston. This is the game. This is the game that you need to have. This is the game that you need to have to get in the playoffs. And it's like Coach Vanover was saying earlier this week, in order to get that extended season and especially for the seniors, there's no other year. Your year's right now, and you extend your senior season by winning this game on Friday night.
No, most definitely. And we're going to talk about that. That game is in the pick'ems. So let's jump into them. Barbers Hill on the road, Port Arthur Memorial. Port Arthur Memorial suffers a loss to Baytown Lee this last week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like,
if the word upset ever applied, then it's this.
Yeah. And we talked about being that team that is coming in behind a team that suffers a loss that they shouldn't have lost. I mean, Baytown Lee, they were 1-4 going into this game,
Mm-hmm.
and upset Port Arthur Memorial to knock them off of their high horse out of the district. I mean, the district was theirs to lose.
And if you take this back a couple of decades, it's probably not a surprise that Baytown Lee beats anybody. But right now, the way the programs are set, it's a surprise anytime Port Arthur Memorial is going to lose, even if it's against a power, because there's just so much talent over there. But yeah, I do not want to be the team that has to follow that and has to play Port Arthur Memorial next, even if it's a team like Barbers Hill that's had such a good season. And I guess I just gave away where I'm going with this. But
Has Barbers Hill been in the pickup every week? It seems like every week we're talking
The last
about Barbers
3 weeks
Hill.
they've been in here, and
I think he's got something for Barbers Hill because he
does.
just keeps throwing them in there week after week.
hey,
it's his
I
vacation.
gotta keep looking. Who's Barbers Hill?
His vacation home's over there.
well, with all these podcasts and stuff that we're doing on the LSG Network on YouTube, don't forget to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 59N Sports,
And
and like it, like all of our shows on the LSG Network. Lots of good podcasts over there on the LSG. Sidelines and sidelines, a little bit of everything over there, from Deep East Texas all the way down to Central Texas. Go over there to the LSG Network. Brian, I took out of this, you're going with Port Arthur Memorial at home.
I'm definitely going Port Arthur Memorial. Even more so since they lost, than I with more conviction since they lost than I would have before.
Chris.
I took Port Arthur.
Chris took Port Arthur Memorial. And you can go join in on all of these pick'ems every Monday night, Tuesday. I throw the pick'ems out there for you to be able to join in on there at 59N Sports on Facebook. So jump in there and join with us. So I'm looking at this game, and I got to go with Port Arthur as well. Home game, you give them a 2-point swing on that, 2.5. Suffering a loss against Baytown Lee. This is going to be a statement game for them. And it's like, wait a minute, here we go. So I'm going with Port Arthur Memorial as well.
Very tight district over there. You can't afford 2 losses.
No, you can't. And briefly on that district, you got Kingwood Park 6-1, Barbers Hill 5-1. A win here puts Barbers Hill in the driver's seat out of District 8 5A. Port Arthur Memorial 5-1, staple game for this district. LaPorte's 4-3, Crosby's 3-3, Porter is 3-3. They have Baytown lead this week, not in the pick'ems, but this is a district that we're going to talk about at length this next week, at least on our podcast, as it really shapes up. Moving over to the next game. Chris, I know where you're going with this game because I know where you come from, kind of, even though you're a Yankee.
And we're not going to fault you for that.
No, we're not going to hold that against you.
We're
But
very accepting of all.
The Woodlands.
You know the Woodlands plays "Hail to the Victors" as their theme song,
Yeah.
right? That's why.
There we go. There is.
Even though-
it finally comes out.
Even
There
though they
it
wear
is.
but they wear green and they look like Wisconsin helmets, but they're at least the song is right.
They do look like Wisconsin. That's where it's from. And making the transfer from McCullough to that, I never made the connection, but that's where it's from. It looks like Wisconsin.
Yeah,
They're on the road at Willis, Chris. I know
the
where you're
Woodlands.
going.
I'm
You're
taking
going
the
to
Woodlands.
071.
Hell to the victors. I didn't know that.
You're educated.
071.
Well, he is. He lived over there for a while, I guess.
No, I mean, whatever. But
G52.
I'm going to go next. I'm going with Willis at home.
Yeah.
I think they're on the rise. I think this is going to be a good competitive game. I think it's a game Willis is going to win and be able to slide them up in that 2 spot.
Fantastic game. 2 fantastic quarterbacks, Mettauer and DJ Lagway. Both of them are going to be recruited like crazy. Every single college wants one of these quarterbacks.
You got me in suspense.
Yeah, it's a tough.
I'm not
call.
going to throw schedules out or anything
Where's the game
like
at?
that. Game's in Willis.
in Willis.
Ooh, that makes it rougher.
One of the smallest stadiums the Woodlands are going to play in this year.
Give me Willis. Give me Willis.
I'm
I'm-
actually, honestly, I am shocked
Yeah.
by that pick.
Give me Willis because I think home field advantage means something. And like I said, both these offenses are fantastic. And seriously, this is a game to where if you don't have an alliance somewhere, this would be one to just go and watch good Texas high school football.
No, and I agree with you. And on top of that, being at the 6A level, it's like watching a good junior college game. Moving into the next one, we're going to drop way down. Buna on the road at Tarkington. I'm going to get started with this.
Go for it.
5 weeks ago, I threw out there Tarkington's going to finish 4-6 on the season. Or if they finish 500, they'd be lucky. I got to stick with that. So therefore, I'm going with Buna in this game, and Buna's going to lock in the 4 seed.
Look how mean you are.
Well, hey, you know what? I threw them in the pick'ems for a couple weeks, and I tried to talk good about them. I didn't gain any extra support out of Tarkington because they pretty much said, I hate you.
Yeah. I mean, you're already on the bad side. I mean,
Might as well stay there.
sure.
What do you got, Chris?
I got Buna.
Chris going
I'm
Buna.
just not impressed with Tarkington. They're just
I'm going to tell
I
you,
don't-
I'm going to say this, and I'm go on air. It's going to be over there on YouTube as well. Next year, Tarkington's going to be a different football team.
Mm-hmm.
Brian?
I tell you, I really can't believe how much you're going against the people on the prairie over there. It's amazing how much you're against the Longhorns of Tarkington.
I'm not against the Longhorns.
It
I'm
seems like
against
you
the
are.
week of schedule. The week schedule.
It seems like you are. It seems like, and I don't really like it. I don't like how much you're against Tarkington. I'm going Buna.
B3.
I'm glad you're finally starting to see things my way. So that's going to drop us into the next game, and this is what's throwing Chris off. Is me throwing this game in the pick'ems. My buddy Trent over at Anahuac Sports Live, he was like, "Dude, why in the heck did you throw that game in there?" And I said, "Well, I got to stay."
Because
Different.
you made 6 games this week, and we don't have time for 6 games.
But
we
this
got
game-
time for 5 games.
This game is huge. Cameron Yo at Franklin. Brian.
Franklin. Very easy. I'm not picking against Franklin.
boy, that's decisive.
Very.
I took CHO.
Chris took the
I
Yo.
think they look impressive.
We had 2 good, 4
Well-
Now I'm a little concerned after my last week's. I said I need to not pick so many away teams, and now I look at my pick'ems for this week, and I picked too many visiting teams.
I'll tell you this.
8.
I don't have anybody beating Franklin until they reach Arlington,
G58.
and I won't.
I got Franklin. Number 1 in the state.
O67.
Cameron Yo's number 6. So, I mean, that talks about how deep this district is. Because last week you have Franklin and Lorena.
Yep.
And Franklin pulls out the win, a tight margin.
B13.
It's going to be a ball game. And it wouldn't surprise me if Chris ends up being the only one to pick this game right.
Franklin has a habit of ending up in Arlington, and I'm sure that there's fans over there in Franklin that have already made their hotel reservations for Arlington for that weekend.
Well, I mean, I actually made mine last week to go to Arlington. I'm going up Friday, and we'll be there Friday night, Saturday to watch high school football.
There you go.
As Thursday is going to be more 1A, 2A football. And if Corgan is to get that far, I'll back my reservations up to Thursday
There you go.
to go. But, I got to go up there, and I'm hoping to get in and be able to do some live podcast, if you will, with the LSG. And I think it'll be great. Livingston on the road at Splendora.
We had a good
I'm going to get
vertical
started with
bingo.
this one, and
The only way
I had a
was
long
to
conversation
win
this
the
week
whole
with
letter H.
Harrison Famundo's
Facundo.
the quarterback's dad,
Facundo.
and he has been accepted to Texas A&M. He's going to business school up there, over there, and I know Brian. I know You're super stoked about that. And you're just learning about this.
I am just learning about this.
The kid's talented.
Well, the kid's smart is what I just learned.
Yes,
Is,
very.
You don't just happen upon Texas A&M Business School, and I've taken some classes over there, and you don't just pop in there because that business school, it's easier to get into some Ivy League schools than it is the Texas A&M Business School.
So they were in hopes that he was going to get some offers to go play college football, and the kid's done the work in the off season, going to camps, 7-on-7, playing in select football leagues. I think he's getting passed up, and I told his dad, Roland, I said, he told me, he said, Harrison got screwed. I said, no, he didn't get screwed. You screwed him, if anything. You had the opportunity to move him to anywhere in the state of Texas that you wanted to, and you chose to stay in Splendora. Splendora, they go in phases, right? And Splendora was really good back in the early 2000s, back in the Brian Robinson days. They were good for one season in the Coach Schultz era, made the playoffs, went a couple rounds deep, and got embarrassed by Athens. And here we are today. And it's a matter of supporting cast. It's not that they don't have athletes. They don't have the depth of athletes. And the football IQ, in my opinion, is where Splendora is at.
I can tell you this. The district has improved immensely over the past year and a half. Now that we're halfway through this season. The district got a lot better last year. Livingston won the district 2 years ago. And while it was a magical season for the Livingston Lions and they won district for the first time in over a half century, it was a deal to where the district was a little bit down. And the district, every single team in that district got better the very next year. They're good again this year. And the depth that's in this district, even though it's just 6 teams, it's a huge difference.
Who are you going with?
Livingston.
Me too.
Livingston.
I am as well.
Livingston.
And it's a full meal deal. Dropping over in District 9 3A. And I'm excited to do the game, actually. I'm excited to see Livingston. I've already seen Splendora once this year. I want to see where they've improved, playing on their home turf. I feel like that it could be a good game. I just feel like Splendora doesn't have the supporting cast that they need.
You've got a team in Splendora that kind of divides their offense. It's half run, it's half pass. They like to spread it out in the spread, but they will go some 2-back and even 3-back at certain times. They're basically even as far as the yardage for the year, as far as rushing and passing. And Livingston, they don't make any bones about what they're going to do. They want to line the ball up. They want to put their big boys out in front. They want to put their fullbacks out there in front, and they want to control the line of scrimmage. That's Coach Vanover's deal. That's always been his deal. He is going to control the line of scrimmage if he's going to win a football game, and I feel very, very good about their chances of being able to do that because even though they don't have the stable of backs that they did because of injury, and there's been some attrition there, I do feel good about the offensive line and their chances of really pushing this defensive line off the football and Livingston's defensive line controlling that line of scrimmage and living in their backfield.
So it sounds like even the weather could play. If there's a little bit of rain, sounds like the weather could play in Livingston's hand too. That'd be better for them to.
It absolutely could. If you've ever tried to throw a football, a wet football in the rain, it's not a ton of fun. And even though it is a turf field, it's not fun. And you're sitting out there, if you've got 4 receivers, if you're behind the stick somewhere, if it's 3rd and 11, and you know you got to throw a pass and you know it's got to be accurate, and you're throwing an out route, I mean, you got to be perfect. And you know, if you've got a wet football, who knows where that thing's going? Livingston knows where there's going, and they're going straight ahead.
Let's talk about a big game right here in San Jacinto County. Battle of San Jacinto. Cold Spring on the road at Shepherd. And Brian, we touched on this on our podcast on the LSG Network, Lone Star Gridiron. Overall record, Cold Spring's been dominant, 45-15 and 3. Shepherd wins last year 18-14. and gets the win. This game on the road for the Cold Spring Trojans.
I want to throw something out before
we-
you throw your pick out there because I know
we-
you're going to throw your pick out there.
We
real quick.
talked about this
Yes.
in our podcast this week. Out of all games where you throw the schedule, you throw the stats, you throw everything out, this is that game.
The other thing that I wanted to throw out there
Come
before
on.
you make your pick,
No, go ahead.
Shepherd's had 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Shepherd's had 2 weeks to game plan just for this team.
Trust me, I know. Chris, who you got?
I got to go with Cold Springs. I still think they're the stronger team, but that did make me nervous. I looked at that when I was looking at the prep this week, that Shepherd's been off, and Cold Springs coming off a little bit of a high against the Diboll game, and that's a big win for them. You don't want the high to be too high that you kind of overlook Shepherd and start looking past them and say, no, we're a better team now. We just beat Diboll. No, Shepherd's going to be a piece of cake.
Same thing happened 2 years ago.
So you're saying it's kind of a trap game?
Yep.
No, Brian.
I'm very nervous for Cold Spring because it's like Chris just said, it's a trap game. You just came off a big high. You just came off a huge high. Meanwhile, that other team sitting over there, they've been studying you for 2 weeks, and believe me, they've got to be putting all 2 weeks into this one game because this is playoffs for them. If you're going to make the playoffs, if you're Shepherd and you're going to make the playoffs in this year, you've got to beat Cold Spring, and not only that, but I mean, what kind of statement does it make to win your rival game again? Because, I mean, in years past, it's almost been dismissed to where you've won this game. It's like, oh, it was kind of a one-off game. Well, it's not. This is for everything.
Yeah, this is all for nothing. And we talked about it in our podcast earlier this week.
So, in saying that, Shepherd's at home. They've had 2 weeks. I'm still going Cold Spring, but by less than people think it's going to be.
So, I was surprised you went that way. I really was. And I had the honors of getting to talk to Coach Robinson on my way up here to Bullet Grill House.
I told you, they're going better than 4-6.
So, talking to Coach Robinson, and he said, "You want to know what my game plan is for tomorrow night?" I said, "Tell me." He said, "We're going deep. They're going to have to beat us in the air." And he said it as he was laughing. But here's the other side of that, is I know he's right.
Yeah.
He's going to make the defensive backs for the Cold Springs defense beat them in the air.
You got to stretch them.
Yeah, you do. And if there's one area where Cold Springs struggles, it's in the pass defense. They run a lot of zone. And so with saying all of that, Cold Springs going to come out with a 4-2 defense. You're going to put an extra hand in the dirt, which is I've been preaching for how long?
You might have mentioned it.
That they need to put that extra hand in the dirt. They're going to play the 4-2, and Shepherd's going to beat Cold Spring. And me and my boy Toby Tolis have a bag of Mrs. Baird's powdered donuts bet on this, and the loser has to eat a whole bag of Mrs. Baird's powdered donuts without a drink. I'm going with Shepherd, and I'm sticking with it.
So you're going against
expecting
me
to eat
and
the
Chris.
donuts.
So Chris and I are going to come back next week, and we're going to wonder, what were you picking?
I'm just telling you, I'm going Shepherd.
All right.
I got to stick to my guns with where I'm at.
It's not a terrible pick. Like I said, it's 2 weeks. It's a huge game. It's a rivalry. It's at Shepherd. It's not terrible. I don't hate it.
What else ain't terrible is Bullet Grill House here in Point Blank, Texas. Come
For
by
sure.
and see Chris, Barb, and the staff here at Bullet Grill House. You won't be disappointed. Great food, lots of drinks, whatever you prefer, whether it's tea or an adult beverage, you can get it here. Astros game's going to be on Friday night here at Bullet Grill House. Come hang out at the patio or inside where it's maybe a little bit warmer, but come hang out. You're listening to 102.3 The Eagle, AM 1440 The Score, and 105.5 KDOL The Wolf. We'll see you at the game.